गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंद ब्रज जनरंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन।
यमुना तीरा वनचारी।
तीरा वनचारी।
यमुना तीरा वनचारी।
तीरा वनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे।
राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे।
जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय।
जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय।
जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा।
जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा।
जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद।
जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद।
नित्य गौर हरि बोल Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotra Sat. His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Right.
Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Maharaj, to begin with, we'd like to launch our website, the newly designed website, and then it will be followed by your talk. So I will request Krishna Prabhu now. Please take it forward.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Tulsi Prabhu. So Maharaj, I'm sharing my screen here, and on our screen, I'll display my browser, on which you'll be able to launch the website. Is my screen visible now?
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj. So here is the browser, and here I have written down the website name. I'll hand over control to you, and
so what should I do?
And you'll have to click here and press enter on your keyboard. Now the control is with you, Maharaj. I hope you will be able to access my screen. Yes, click at the end of it. Yes, Maharaj. And now you can, and click enter, Maharaj. Can you click? Yes, so now Hari Bol. So I announced that new website of Bhakti Rasamrita Model School has been launched with the hands of His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj. So this is Maharaj. Now I will give a walkthrough of the website. For that, I'll take the control back. So as you can see, this is a new website of the school. So you all might be aware that school already had a website which was built long back, but that website was not as per the new standard of the websites we see right now on the internet. Also, it did not have a few of the features which we wanted to offer to the users. Therefore, we decided to build a new website from the scratch with new design, and the whole effort was led by Chitta Mohan Prabhu and his team. So we are very grateful to Chitta Mohan Prabhu and his team for making this happen in time with high quality. So here is the first homepage of the website. It has 3 choruses, as you can see. Below there is a small info about the school. Then there is about academic structure, curriculum structure of the school. Then there are different donation schemes which are there for the schools to become your BMS patron, or with which you can also contribute to the school's new building construction. Then there are current updates, where you can see the snippets of the current updates, and you can click on this link to read more about them. And finally, there are parent testimonials. So this is where we come to know what parents think about the school. Apart from that, there is a section called About School, and then there is Our Vision. In this section, there is one very important page called Green Vision Initiative. So this is a vision of our school, and this is given to the school none other by His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj. He has been very merciful, and as Tulsi Prabhu mentioned, is guiding us. And this is this vision he has given us. And school is working on this vision from long time. And the new campus of the school, which is planned, is also in consideration with this vision in mind. And that campus will help us to bring this vision to the life. Apart from that, we have a petal page here. So petal is our school's offering to the society and Srila Prabhupada. So it has 5 aspects. So you can go through all of this. I'll not take you details here. At the end of the seminar, probably we'll have short information about this also. Then there is an academic section where
Prabhuji, the screen is frozen to the only home page in case you are going to the other pages.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you can reshare the.
Yes. So I think it was pause share. I'm sorry. So I'll just, is it now?
Yes, now I can
Yeah.
see. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just brief again back. I'm sorry for that. So this is the homepage which has about school, academic curriculum, donation schemes, and current updates, which I was mentioning, and parent testimonial here. Then there is this Green Vision initiative, which Maharaj has given us. So this is the page about it. So you all can go through it. Then there is a petal page, which I was mentioning. There are 5 offerings of BMS to the society in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Then there is academic section, talks about the academic structure and curriculum structure of the school. Then there is a contact page. We are looking into contact page. So this is a contact page. This is about the location of the school and online inquiry form. And finally, there is this donate page. This is a page where donors can give online donation to the school. So here are the school bank account details. So anyone wants to transfer through NEFT or RTGS, they can do it with these details. Then there is a small form here where donors can donate or pledge, or that means they can commit to donate some amount in future. So these 2 facilities are here. So if you go to donation, and then you have to first select a membership. So there are different membership schemes here. You can select one, say Vidya Seva scheme, for example. Then you have to fill up the form like this. And at the end, you can also mention, the donor also can mention a reference. So the reference could be typically under whose direction or guidance or inspiration that person is donating. So he can mention his name. Any comments he has, he can donate it. And afterwards, there are 3 options with which donor can transfer donation to the school. The first one is direct UPI. So this is the QR code of the school, where the donor can directly scan this code with the help of Bhim app, Google Pay, Paytm, Phone Pay, any apps they have. They can scan this code and directly money will be transferred into the school account. So this is one facility. Only thing we request donors is that once they scan it through here, they have to enter the transaction details of that scan amount here, so that we can track the donation which has come through QR code to that donor bank. Then the second option is donate through net banking or credit card. So when you select that option and click donate, the donor will be taken to the page where they can provide a credit card or wallet or net banking details. So this is where they can complete the transaction. So I'll cancel it for now. Then third and last option is donate using check or DD. So in case a donor wants to hand over DD, so he can write the check and take a photograph and drop the file here and mention the check or DD number here like this and click on the donate button. So after that, our volunteers will get in touch with the donor to collect the check and take things forward. So this is a new website which we have come up for our school, and we hope and pray that with this help of website, we serve our children, parents, devotees, society at large, and Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. So I request to Prabhu and Maharaj to take things forward. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kalyan Krishna Prabhu, for the walk through the BMS website. I now request Maharaj to kindly, enlighten us on this topic of the session, blending Vedic culture with modern academics. Thank you. Maharaj, you might have to unmute yourself, Maharaj. I'll just 1 second.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm very, very happy to be at this annual day program of the Bhaktivedanta Model School in ISKCON Pune. Bhaktivedanta Model School has come a long way from the very beginnings when it started with just a few children. And even now, the school is operating in a few rooms in the temple. But I'm very happy to learn that now BMS is acquiring some land and there are preparations going on for preparing infrastructure, buildings, and so on to shift there eventually. The place, I believe, is not too far from the temple, Radha Vrindavan Chandra temple, and I think we will hear more about it after some time. The topic I was asked to speak on is blending Vedic culture with modern academics. Education is such an important issue for all of us, for the entire human society. Srila Prabhupada has spoken so much about education. And he has gone to the extent of saying that unless one is educated, one is not really human. Of course, what it means to be educated is another topic. So by being educated, we don't merely mean that one is literate or that one has gone to school or college and got some degrees. One may even be illiterate, but still be educated from a higher point of view. So in the modern day, where education is becoming so commercialized and so secular and so materialistic, devotee parents in particular are very, very concerned about the quality and nature of the education that their children will have to go through. So therefore, that is the reason we have such a topic here. So it's not enough to have modern academics. We also need to incorporate some Vedic culture in that. At the same time, it's also appreciated that the old traditional models of education in and of themselves, without any understanding of the modern situation, may not also work in this day and age. For example, we see there are many traditional gurukulas, but they also are obliged to teach the children something about computer. They have to learn some mathematics, they have to learn some history, geography. They have to learn some of these subjects as well, because we are living in the material world. So the challenge before all of us is how to blend these two. And depending on the degree to which they are combined together, we will have different models or different types of gurukuls or schools. So today, if you survey the type of schools and gurukuls that are existing for children, at one extreme, you find the modern school, which is totally secular, in which there is absolutely no trace of spiritual education at all. They are totally materialistic, and they go through the usual subjects and the methodologies for teaching. Many times they become so commercial and they charge huge fees to get admission. It becomes almost like a business venture more than a noble venture of giving education to children. On the other extreme, you may find some traditional gurukulas where, let us say, they learn how to recite the various mantras or to perform maybe some karma kanda ceremonies, etc. So they essentially train the students to become pujaris or maybe pandits of some sort, which is also very essential in society. We need people who can perform those services for the society at large. But in some of these cases, they don't have any exposure to the modern understanding of the world. So they often become misfits. So because even though we may be trained in traditional modes of education, but we are still living in a modern world and we are not completely isolated from it. Very rarely will you find communities that are so isolated that they don't need to interact with the outside world. And at some point or the other, there will always be need to interact with the outside world. So therefore, some degree of blend, of combination of these two is very essential. So between one extreme and the other, we have to find a middle path. So as far as devotees are concerned, we see that either they send them to this regular one extreme school because it is very reputed, or it is very prestigious, it is very famous, so-and-so international school, so-and-so convent school, or whatever it is. So in general, people get very enamored because of its very high reputation and its sophisticated kind of presentation. But unless that school is giving us something very special that pertains to our spiritual life and spiritual culture, it is not advisable to put our children in those schools, because they may get prestigious education in the material world, but such schools, in Srila Prabhupada's words, are not at all beneficial. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada spoke in quite harsh language about such schools because they did not give any spiritual education. On the contrary, they destroyed the spiritual faith and consciousness of the children. So even if the children came from families that had spiritual culture, but when they went through this kind of modern day schooling, which is very secular, they came out of the school completely faithless and very critical of their own spiritual knowledge and culture. So devotees have strived to strike some balance between the two. Therefore, we say that there are some schools where devotees go for giving some classes. They may be run by some other people, maybe not devotees. But devotees go time to time to give some Krishna conscious input to the children. In some cases, it may be a devotee-run school, which is primarily academic in nature in terms of the modern academics, but some degree of Krishna consciousness is given. In other schools, the level of Krishna consciousness imparted may be little more. So in this way, there is like a spectrum of educational initiatives available to devotee children to go to. And it is up to the parents to select something, some choice that they feel will be best for the children. So coming specifically now to our topic, how to blend Vedic culture with modern academics, it is important to understand first what we mean by Vedic culture. Vedic culture is such a broad word. It can mean so many things to so many people. And at least within ISKCON, we may have one understanding, but if you ask outside, people will have varieties of understanding. So what do we mean when we say that we must blend Vedic culture with modern education? Well, first and foremost, let us approach it from the point of view of Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, because we are followers of these books as practicing devotees. In brief, Vedic culture means that culture which is based on Vedas, on the Vedic knowledge. And in Krishna's own words in the Bhagavad-Gita, Vedaischa sarvai aham eva vedyaha. So the purpose of learning the Vedas or Vedic knowledge is to understand me, Krishna says. And the Vedas include not just the 4 Vedas, but they include so many other scriptures. But the most essential scriptures are the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has clearly said that the purpose of studying all the Vedic literatures or getting any form of knowledge is to know Krishna. And in Bhagavad Gita, elsewhere, Krishna also says that the only way to know him is to love him. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yas chashmit tatpataha. In other words, the essence of Vedic culture, as we understand it as devotees of Lord Krishna, is that we must develop pure love for Lord Krishna, Krishna Prem. That is the essence of Vedic culture. If any other form of Vedic culture does not eventually, sooner or later, lead us to the point of Krishna Prem, then we are not very favorable to such forms of culture. Although we may respect them, but we will not follow them because they will not lead us to the ultimate goal of Krishna consciousness. Further, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj has also explained in his very famous verses, which I am sure all of us have memorized from the very beginning of our Krishna consciousness. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam, Iti Punsarpita Vishnu, Bhaktis Navalakshana, Kriyeta Bhagavatyadha, Tat Manje Dhitam Uttamam. So Prahlad Maharaj in these 2 verses of the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam speaks about the 9 processes of devotional service. Bhakti Chin Navalakshana. So these 9 limbs or angas of devotional service have been mentioned by Prahlad, starting with Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc., which pertain to Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. And he says, Kriyeta Bhagavati Adha. One must perform these items of devotional service. So not only has he defined what bhakti is, but he has also given us an instruction that we must all do it. We must all follow these limbs of devotional service. And in the opinion of Prahlad Maharaj, Tad manye dhita adhitam uttamam. Adhitam means learning. Uttamam means the topmost or the best. So in Prahlad Maharaj's opinion, which we value very much because he's a Mahajan, he's a pure devotee of the Lord, he's an associate of the Lord. So he says that according to him, a devotee who is perfect in following these angas of devotional service is actually the topmost and most learned person. So learning and education is defined by Prahlad Maharaj in terms of the advancement in our bhakti to Lord Krishna. So this is a very fundamental and important point to all of us who are interested in the process of education. So when we think in terms of merely sending our children to schools which may be very prestigious from a worldly point of view, we must consider this thing very seriously. Unfortunately, the modern educational system is being very materialistic and does not give any sort of education or teaching about spiritual life. They do not teach about they don't give even a hint or a clue about such things. So the first and most important point about education is that we must have complete clarity about the goal or the objective of education. When the very goal and objective of life itself is Krishna consciousness, then naturally education should be seen as a process to achieve that goal. So it is not only for children, it is also for adults and elderly people. Education does not end with the school or college. Education is a continuing process that goes on till the very end of life. So, and naturally, in the formal stages of education, when we're in the stage of being children, we have to go through the formative years of our education, through the school and even in higher education. It is very important to have that clarity of the goal or the objective. So the fundamental flaw in the modern educational system is that it does not have a clue of the ultimate objective or goal of education, which is Krishna consciousness. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada actually called it like a spiritual slaughterhouse. So keeping in mind that this is the first and most important aspect of education, that spiritual knowledge must be given, and the children must eventually be inspired, encouraged, trained to render some devotional service to Krishna. Now, to what degree we must persuade them, how it must be presented, it must not be forced on them. They must be made to experience it in a very joyful way. That is another matter. That is the matter of the methodology or the manner in which we give them Krishna consciousness. That requires also some intelligence and sensitivity. But the fundamental point is that the goal of education must be very clear. So this is the first and most important part of education, whether it is modern, given in a modern format or in a traditional format. This is very important. But now the point arises that is it so easy or quick to achieve this goal? Can we become Krishna consciousness just overnight? No, it is not possible. It requires a lifetime of education and cultivation. So it is not easy. It requires a lot of training. It requires a conducive atmosphere. It requires adoption of certain kinds of attitudes and mindsets and values, of lifestyles. It needs a support structure. In other words, it needs an entire culture. So this is the second aspect of education, which is the culture. And what do we mean by culture? We mean that support structure or that environment that promotes enlightened human values and divine values, like, for example, kindness, forgiveness, simplicity, austerity, honesty, cleanliness, and so on, that we find in Bhagavad-Gita and in the other Vedic scriptures. So any culture that essentially promotes these kinds of values creates a very conducive culture where spiritual life can be practiced in childhood and also in maturity when the children grow up. The understanding of these human values of the kind that I just mentioned depends on how they're understood from Vedic literature. For example, the term cleanliness may be understood in one way in the general outside world, but we have a much deeper understanding of cleanliness. Similarly, with kindness, with mercy, austerity, each of these terms are very deep. They are not to be superficially understood. So therefore, we see that in the Bhagavad-Gita purports and also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada on occasion appropriately elaborately discusses each of these terms so that we understand what they mean. So culture means to promote these kinds of enlightened human values and also promote the conduct and lifestyle that is based on these values. So our behavior and lifestyle, our habits and our speech, our thought process, everything, including how we relate to each other as human beings, our dealings with each other, how we deal with elders, with peers, with those who are younger than us, how we deal with the world outside, with the environment. All of these things will come in the category of what we can call culture, broadly speaking, including development of character. So this is the second feature of education. So there are many schools that also imbibe character in terms of discipline, in terms of politeness, etc. They do many things, which is good. It is better to have these qualities than to not have them at all. At the same time, because they are not connected to the Vedic scripture, so they're not able to give a higher spiritual understanding to these values. So therefore, when we imbibe culture into the educational system, we would like to give it that spiritual and that devotional touch, that devotional flavor that is very much essential. So therefore, we see that culture is the second most important element of education. And also, importantly, culture will also include how we organize our society, how we live amongst each other. So what kind of pattern, what kind of formula do you have for organizing the society as a whole? So these are very important points. So the first point was bhakti, was the principle of Krishna consciousness. The second point is the culture that is required to eventually attain that goal, and which will also help us to interact with the world properly. So now, in modern day education, we hardly have anything of the first part, the first essential point. We have maybe something of this second point, and we identified the third part, which is academics, to be all in all in terms of education. So people equate education with academics, with science, geography, history, mathematics, languages, and they think that this is all education is about. But as I mentioned earlier, that is not the case. Education will include these things, yes. Certainly, our children must learn languages. They must learn basic arithmetic and even more. They must learn history. They must learn geography. They must learn so many things. But it is not enough to learn that. And because somebody has got some very high degrees in a college in any of these fields of science and technology or geography, history, it doesn't mean that they are truly educated. So this third part of education, academics, is necessary but not sufficient to be called education. And academics must also include life skills and practical understanding of the world. And as they grow up, the children are more and more, shall we say, acquainted with how one can earn one's livelihood. That is also a very important point in this world, because people must earn their livelihood. And they must be educated and trained to do that. There are various forms of earning one's livelihood. And at a certain point in the educational system, when the children are older, they will be moved into some form of system or education where they are prepared for their future livelihood. So there will also be theoretical classes here, and there will be practical classes also. Modern day schools don't do much of the practical things. Maybe some do, but many don't. It is just a question of going to the class, learning some tables, learning some arithmetic, learning some languages, learning some academic subjects and coming out. Maybe a few games at the end of it, that is all. But very few will actually have classes that deal with not only these subjects, but also, let us say, practical hands-on activities like learning agriculture, learning cow protection, learning gardening, learning pottery, learning many practical skills of this world. What to speak of the devotional skills and the cultural skills that are essential. So academics, therefore, is an important part, but it is only one part of education. So when you have these three parts together, the part of devotional service or bhakti, the second part of a favorable culture, by introducing the spiritual elements into it, and the third of academics, then we have complete education. Now, as far as academics are concerned, we certainly teach what the other schools teach, but there may be also occasion for us to teach them these subjects or certain portions of these subjects from a Krishna conscious point of view. We may give certain devotional perspectives when we are studying any of these subjects, and that is a topic in itself. And for those of you who are already involved in education as teachers, whether in the school or at home teaching your children, this will be a very important point. Apart from giving the secular knowledge, there may be good occasions when you can give a devotional perspective and make people or make the children see Krishna, for example, in the different activities of the world. How Krishna has organized this world in such a beautiful way. How Krishna's management of this thing is so perfect. So when they start appreciating nature and Krishna's role in that, their appreciation for devotional service will also increase. And they will get a very deep understanding of the world around them. In other words, we are speaking of a very holistic form of education. This, in brief, is our understanding of blending Vedic culture and modern academics. However, there are certain other points that need to be also clarified. And that is that education is not only what one learns within the classroom in the schools. One must make a distinction between formal education and informal education. Formal education is what children learn in a classroom or in a school. So they learn all the subjects. There may be a board, there may be textbooks, there may be examinations, etc. So that is the formal education. But a very large part of the education is informal education, which happens outside the classroom, which happens at home, which happens amongst friends, which happens amongst relatives, amongst a society at large. That form of education, that form of input that the children receive is a very that school, and the teachers will give us the end product. Our child will come out from the school, blazing with effulgence, spiritual effulgence, and will become an extraordinary personality. Our role as parents, as responsible members of the society, is also very important in educating the children. So a significant portion of the child's worldview and knowledge and thought process is influenced by sources that are outside the school. So when we speak of education, we must include all these sources. And therefore, there is a popular saying, even in the West, that it takes a village to raise a child. So it is not only the matter of one school, not even the matter of the family, but it is the village at large, which means the society outside that is responsible to groom the children in a certain way. So many times we hear devotees saying, oh, our child is getting spoiled because of bad association in the building or in the neighborhood or in the school. Yes, this is a very common problem. So it goes to show that education is an all-inclusive process in which the school plays a very crucial part, but it is not the only component in the educational system. There is a subhashita. You know, subhashita means a proverb in Sanskrit. It appears in some commentaries on some Dharma Shastras and also some commentaries on the Mahabharata, but it is a well-known subhashita. And I thought it might be interesting for us to just hear it. So the shloka is, Acharya padam adatte, padam shishya swamedhaya, padam asabrahmacharibhyaha, padam kala kramena cha. The word padam here means to a part of it. Usually it means a quarter. Just like a shloka has 4 lines. No, each is called a quarter or a pada. So in this shloka it is said, padam adatte, the child obtains 1/4 of the knowledge of whatever he or she knows from the acharyas. The acharyas means the teachers. Now we can broaden that understanding to include the other teachers in the child's life, like the parents, the elders. They also teach the child so many things. So 25% of what we know, we have learned from our acharyas. Then the next is padam shishya swamedhaya. 25% of what we know has also been understood by our own intelligence. So we think about something, we have learned so many things, we observe so many things, then we reflect on it, we analyze it. And in this way, we also study books from here and there. So we gather our own knowledge, our own conclusions, we analyze things with our intelligence. So 25% of what we know depends on our own intelligence. So padam shishya swamedhaya. Medha means intelligence. Medhaya means by intelligence. Swa means self. Then the next point is padam sa brahmacharibhyaha. Because in the Gurukul, the students were called brahmacharis. In other words, 25% of what we know, 25% of our opinions, our worldviews, our mentalities, etc., are imbibed by the association of fellow students. Peer pressure, we all know how people get into bad habits or even good habits actually by association. So the power of association of people of the same age, of children of the same age in school is very, very great. So therefore, what kind of company are we going to keep for our children? So when parents happily send their children to the best known prestigious international schools and other kinds of places, they must keep in mind that 25% of what they're going to learn from their fellow students who come from a certain background. And they may be very, very critical of the children's devotional inclinations. They may make fun of them, etc. And even the teachers. I remember, for example, in the school that I went to as a child, we had a history teacher, and I still remember very clearly. He was a history teacher, and he was an atheist. And in class, in history class, he would never lose an opportunity to criticize Vedic culture. And he would speak in such a strong way and say that, I don't believe in the Vedas. He would say that. So that influenced us as children. You see, because at a very impressionable age, and you hear all these things. And many of the friends in the class may have been also like that, of that kind of a mentality. So therefore, our worldview and our understanding and knowledge of opinions on life also will depend 25% on our fellow companions in school and college and also in life. And finally, padam kala kramena cha. The remaining 25% of our knowledge of how we acquire knowledge and what opinions we form, etc., depends on the passage of time. Kala kramena cha. Passage of time indicates our experience. We go out into the world, we experience so many things, we experience the knocks of life. Nobody in this world can experience life without getting knocked. We get knocked. Everybody gets knocked. It's like a churning process. We go through many difficult experiences in life. This material world, as Krishna says, is not a sukhalayam. It is a dukkhalayam. But the intelligent person derives valuable life lessons from these knocks that he or she gets in life. And we use that adversity as an opportunity to advance. So we learn. So even failures become stepping stones to success. Failures become an opportunity to learn and experience things and understand things better. So that is why we say, that experience is so important in life. Experience brings maturity. Experience gives us a certain very enlightened view of things. When one is very young, one may be very passionate about things. When one grows older, one realizes, no, kala kramena cha, but passage of time, we learn many lessons. So in this way, our understanding and education has many participants. And eventually, when we grow up with experience, we reflect on what we have learned. So what we are taught in childhood will be the foundation on which our churning will go on inside us. Our education, our intelligence, our reflection, analysis will churn. So the foundational years of education are very crucial. And if we do this part very nicely, then even if the child goes out and has bad association, he or she will be able to overcome the bad association on the strength of the very strong foundation that has been given in the early days. Now, another thing that I want to mention about the Vedic model, since we are speaking about how to blend Vedic culture into the modern academics, is that the Vedic model of education is a very personalized model. Today, in most schools and colleges, we find a very large number of students per class. And in many cases, the teacher does not even know the names of the students, or does not remember the names of every student. And it is very difficult to give personal attention to each child. So the children also are in their own world, the teachers are also in their own world. And because everything has become so materialistic, the whole model of modern education is very commercially oriented. So the teachers also have lost that spirit of sacrificing themselves to teach the children. So they become also commercial minded. They come there just for the salary and they go away. They're not very much interested in really making the children grow into wonderful human beings. The Vedic model, however, had a very personal touch between the acharyas and the students. Very often, the students lived in the house of the guru. And the guru and the guru patni, if it was a grihastha, would look after them like their own children. And the children would participate in the household activities, the ashram activities, in help in cooking, in cleaning, in gathering fuel. And there would also be the proper educational activities that would go on, the academic activities of learning from the Shastras and so on. But this cooking, cleaning, serving, etc. was also very much part of the education. So this very warm and close bond that been built up between the teachers and the children. And so it was like a family atmosphere. It was not a very formal, structured thing that is there today in the modern schools. And even the disciplining, it was a very creative system. There are two aspects to the Vedic system. One is the memorizing system, and the other is the analytical, creative part of the Vedic model. In the memorizing part, it was very essential for the children to memorize many, many things. And that is one reason why modern educationists or people criticize traditional education, because they say that it was only for rote learning, for rote memorization. And that actually students should be given a very creative and analytical ability. Now, it is not that the creative or analytical ability in the Vedic system did not exist, but the Vedic system also appreciated the importance of memorizing the right kind of things. Because in the childhood, one's ability to memorize is very sharp, very strong. Children can pick up things very quickly. And therefore, when they memorize things in childhood, even if they didn't understand certain shlokas and so on, for example, but they would get imprinted in the mind. And as and when they grew and there was maturity and they learned more with experience, whatever they had learned began to internally flower out and blossom in their consciousness. And what was earlier only rote learning now actually blossomed into something very sublime, into experienced understanding of those shlokas that they learned. So therefore, don't worry that the children are not able to understand everything. In large part, many things have to be learned by heart in the proper way, and then they will become very meaningful to the children as they grow older in age. Just like we learned our tables when we were arithmetic tables when we were young, and probably we did not like to learn it. But if we have learned them properly in childhood, even today, you can see the value. You want to do some calculations and immediately you remember your childhood tables. They become so meaningful now. This is just a mundane example. Similarly, for the shlokas that we learn, they all become very meaningful and they blossom out into our consciousness. At the same time, there was a lot of creativity and analytical ability that the children developed because of the way they were trained in that abode. There was a lot of flexibility in what the gurus taught in the Gurukulas. It wasn't always like a rigid syllabus. There was a lot of spontaneity. There was a lot of hands-on work. There was a lot of interaction with Mother Nature. There were a lot of spiritual activities that were done. So all of these eventually combined to form such a complete, perfect, and holistic and integrated model of knowledge. So those who were products of that educational system emerged as complete human beings who were ready to understand the goal of life and eventually moved on to do very, very useful things in the society, in whatever profession, etc., that they chose. And then they were also able to perfect their lives spiritually. They also became very pure devotees of the Lord in course of time. So this is an ideal kind of a model where we blend academic education with everything that the Vedic culture stands for in terms of the correct spiritual understanding. So it is exactly 11:50 now. So I will stop because this was the time for my lecture. And I think there is also a certain period for questions and answers after some time. So if any of you have any questions, I believe we have some period reserved for questions a little later.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such an enlivening talk, for enriching us, our knowledge, our understanding on this topic, blending Vedic culture with modern academics. To give just a bird's eye view of what I carry today with me are the three major points of bhakti, culture, and academics that needs to have a complete ratio, a proper ratio, which helps us to make education the correct, very right, and to be imparted to the students in a very righteous way. Thank you so much once again, Maharaj, for that. So after this, now we have a small BMS presentation from Tulsi Prabhuji, and then it will be followed by the Q&A session. Tulsi Prabhuji, I request you please come forward.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yes. So thank you so much, Maharaj. It was such an enlightening session. The wisdom was just flowing. The pulse of wisdom were just coming minute after minute. So many points you noted. So thank you so much for that. It's such a lecture that we can hear again and again. Thankfully, it is recorded and available for the devotees also. So thanks again, Maharaj. Now I would like to take the audience and Maharaj through the presentation about BMS activities, what we are doing and what are the future plans. So let me share my screen. Just a minute.
I see a few hands raised, so I will take the questions a little later once we are done with the presentation. Kindly hold on. Thank you.
Okay. You can see my screen too.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. So whatever the topic that we discussed today is about Vedic culture, blending it with the modern academics. I would like to take a couple of minutes to explain how at BMS we are trying to blend the Vedic culture with the academics, and then I'll go further next few minutes for the future plans of BMS. So Maharaj is mentioning so many things about Vedic culture. So our vision, as discussed with Maharaj and Radheshamru, has been like to nurture the next generations by sowing the seeds of greatness in the soil of Vedic culture, while remaining relevant to the modern world. So basically, this has been our vision. I will not spend much time on this. The mission is we blend character with competence, spirituality with science, and wisdom with technology. But I would like to spend some more time on this, how the blend is happening at BMS. So here you can see that, 1 minute. Yeah. So while trying to create this Vedic culture environment and blending it with our academics, at BMS over last 10 years, since 2011 we started, and learn over a period of time that the books that we have are having a lot of Western context. Take it English books with names coming from the Western world, James, Williams, Mary, or even the science books having a lot of concepts which are not in line with the Vedic body of knowledge. So we have rewritten the books for the primary English and science section to provide the Indian context, since the children catch even the sanskaras. Just to give an example, in the maths book, we found one example coming forward that to teach subtraction, the publications had given the example that, okay, today Williams is having his birthday. His father gave him $100 as a birthday gift. He went to McDonald's to celebrate his birthday. He bought a hamburger for $70. How much is the money left with him? So it is a simple mathematical calculation, 100 minus 70 equal to 30. But what in the background the sanskar is going is that to celebrate birthday, the child needs to go to McDonald's, get hamburger, eat, enjoy, and be merry, like that. But the same subtraction can be taught in a much Vedic context, like there's a birthday of say Sham, Sham is having birthday. He had $100 with 100 rupees with him as a part of his piggy bank collection. On his birthday, he took 70 rupees from his piggy bank. He went to the Goshala and spent $70 on feeding the cows. How much is the rupees left with him? So the same mathematical calculation, but with the Indian context. So likewise for English also, there was one example where one topic was taken and the sentence was there that this particular girl is wearing a green gown for the ball. Now in the India, most of the students not even aware what is the ball. It's a ballroom dance, which is a cultural activity happening in the European countries. But when we are taking such contextual books and trying to teach them English, doesn't make much sense. So likewise, many dozens of examples like this can be given. So we have now rewritten the primary English and science books, and that's what we are using at BMS, which is properly blended with our own culture and the local things happening around. Apart from that, we are having Shastra classes, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam discussions, not only just stories, but there is discussion happening that why something like that happened. What would happen if something else would have happened? If you were in that place, then what would you do? So such case study scenarios are also happening in the Shastra classes. Then there are lesson plans for the conflicting points. Many times what happens, there are contradictory perspectives from the modern and Vedic body of knowledge given. Like for example, the origin of man. We came from monkeys, the Darwin's theory, versus the Vedic knowledge telling that we come from Lord Brahma. So both such contradictory perspectives, there are lesson plans prepared and they are explained nicely to the students, discussions happening on such topics. Then we have introduced Lilavati Ganit and Sanskrit to the students. Lilavati Ganit is introduced from the 5th standard upwards till 9th standard, and Sanskrit is introduced from junior KG till 10th standard. So before Britishers introduced this particular Ganit that we study today, there was a very nice textbook written by Bhaskaracharya, who was a great saint and scientist both. He has written a big grantha called Siddhanta Siromani, which is about astronomy, calculating distances between the planets. And first part of that grantha is talking about the basics of mathematics, teaching subtraction, addition, multiplication, division. It goes further and teaching about cube roots, cubes, square roots. Further, it goes and teaches us simultaneous equations and quadratic equations. So up to the 8th standard syllabus, 9th standard syllabus is covered very nicely in a very Lilavati way, matlab very playful way. Lilavati was the name of his daughter, but in a very playful way, Bhaskaracharya has written this Ganit textbook. So we have introduced that also in our school, and this helps in coming up with learning different methodologies to do the maths. The same answer can be got with the different methods, and this helps in cross-checking answers or during competitive exams letters like that. And Sanskrit is naturally, all of us know, is the key to lots of Vedic books of knowledge. So both these things are introduced as a part of our blend of the Vedic culture with the modern academics. Next, we have prepared our own books on history. As you know, for example, in CBSE books, Shivaji Maharaj is just reduced to one paragraph. So we have written our history books for the 6th and 7th standard, and it is covering all the books and not just Delhi-centric history of Mughals and others, but Cholas, Pandyas, from the northeast side, Ahoms, from the Kashmir side, King Lalitaditya, then Rana Pratap, Shivaji Maharaj, and many such other, Krishna Devara, etc. are covered, and students enjoy history like anything. So this was one particular part that is accomplished by us in last few years. Then we have also introduced traditional sports like Mallakham and other Kabaddi, Kho-Kho, etc. It builds not only the physical and mental strength, but also it passes on the Vedic games to the next generation, a kind of preservation and transmission of our games. Then in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a methodology called Panchakosh Vikas methodology. So we have been studying that for last 6 to 7 years properly. And lots of elements from this Panchakosh methodology are implemented right from junior KG till the 7th and 8th standard. So there's another topic in itself altogether, but this is very important topic that is coming from the Vedic body of knowledge, which is missing in the modern education. And of course, we have Gita Sloka recitation, and the plan is to cover all the chapters of Gita till the time they pass out. So far, students have completed 5-6 chapters of Gita recitation. And apart from this also, there are many other topics which we can take later on. But in pause of time, I'm covering only these points as a part of what BMS is doing as blending the Vedic culture with the modern academics. Now, the next few minutes, I would like to focus upon what is actually happening with the BMS infrastructure, as Maharaj mentioned in the beginning. So we are coming to this particular part of BMS 2.0 update. So 1.0 is BMS running out of the rented premises in Radha Kunji Bihari Mandir and Vrindavan Chandra Mandir. And 2.0 is where we will be moving to our own premises, building and constructing, creating facilities required for the students and teachers. So what is update on that? So we have new premises, new aspirations coming up. And in that, we are launching this new concept called Petal. So on occasion of this 125th appearance anniversary of Srila Prabhupada, this is our offering of love, where these 5 departments in this concept called Petal will be offered to the world and society at large. So P stands for publications, A is educational research, T is for teachers training center, A is for academic school, and that is L is for library. So let me take a couple of minutes to explain this new concept, our future. So as I mentioned, we are already come up with 5 books about English and science of primary, and also on history 2 books are there. So likewise, we have made a plan of publishing at least 1 book every year and offer it to Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasa Puja day, just day after Janmashtami every year. So that is how we are gearing up for. This will really help the society and many other schools. It will also include not only academic books, but also parenting and teenage handling related books also. Then educational research is something which we have devotees like Krishna Kali Mataji, who is PhD in Hindi, then Purushottam Katha Prabhu, who has done PhD in economics, and many other 2-3 devotees who have done masters. They are doing research on various topics. They'll be leading this department and publishing various papers also on various journals because modern academia they respect the articles published in the journals. So there are dozens of topics that we have listed where the research will be beginning. One part of research is visiting various schools already running certain things and collecting that and implementing for our school. But the other real research would begin very soon once we move to the new premises, where the topics like, now currently one teacher is doing a thesis on the effect of Manomay Kosh on the standard 8-9 children age group. So likewise, small problems will be defined and the research will be carried out and published in various papers. Now next and very important part is teachers training center. So this is where lots of things will happen. This is probably the very potential idea changing the whole landscape of education all over Maharashtra and India, probably the whole world. So what would happen here is for every subject that we are teaching, take it geography, history, civics, English, science. I give a couple of examples of what is happening in science, English, or mathematics, Leelavati Ganit. Similarly, in geography also, one of the parents came forward and they did research on Vedic cosmology. So there is a topic called solar system in 6th standard geography group. So on one hand, there is a solar system topic, other hand is the Vedic cosmology given in Bhagavatam 3rd and 5th canto. So this particular parent did a lot of study on that, prepared PPT with almost 100 slides and presented it to the students of 6th standard in a very digestible format, the way they can understand. So what happens? First of all, they understand there's a correlation happening between this. Similarly, we can do it for Ayurveda and the medical science of the day. So such correlation, when it is done, students may not remember what is Vedic cosmology. But what they do remember is that, yes, we do not have to depend only on the Western side of knowledge. We have our own Vedic body of knowledge, which is very rich with the details. We just need to go and access it. There are people who are expert in certain fields of the Vedic body of knowledge. They are still present and living in India in various places. We just need to access that knowledge, learn it, and do the research further. So when this kind of impact is made, that our traditional knowledge was no less. There have been we have listed 30 saintly scientists like Kanad, Bhaskaracharya, Aryabhatta, and their works. So this particular Leelavati Ganit book is coming from Bhaskaracharya. Likewise, many saintly scientists have written many books on various topics. Those will be part of our library, which is the last L part. So when these kind of things are done and presented to the students, they get a lot of confidence. Yes, and that pride for Vedic culture is established in the heart. So this problem of brain drain that many intelligent people moving out of India, That is because there is no connection to the roots, no connection to the Vedic culture. So they don't feel that I need to do something for India and taking it further. So this teachers training center, what it would do is take the batch of teachers, around 25 to 30 teachers coming over weekend to BMS. Every month one batch would come, and for first day, Saturday, 4 subjects will be taken. I will be giving them topic wise correlation, that in geography this is the correlation between Vedic body of knowledge and the modern body of knowledge. In history, this is what is missing in the current NCERT history books. These are the additional notes we have published. Please take this and give it to your students. Then in English, these are the context, Indian context books we have. So for every subject, so much of work is gone behind last so many years. We would like to present that to all the teachers. In the night, they will stay at our NVCC temple. Next day morning, we'll call them for the 7:30 Darshanarti. And all of us know that experience of first time attending Govindam Adipurusham, taking darshan of beautiful lordships. And they can see that this Vedic culture is practiced by hundreds of devotees in the temple community. And after that, we'll take them to the school again on Sunday and complete the remaining topics, remaining subjects. And one more subject will be added, that is spirituality and value education, which is mandated by the government that value education should be there. But how to do it? Many of the teachers are not aware. That will be covered in this 2 days workshop properly, all these various subjects, and teachers will go back to their schools and will be supporting them with lots of written material, how to answer certain difficult questions. It may be related to Darwin, it may be related to administrative affairs, and we'll help them out in that. And in case some of the teachers want to study Gita further, they can definitely join device course physically, online. We have many Brahmacharis conducting these courses. So this is a wholesome plan for transforming teachers. It will have a very great social impact, in this field. In next 10 years, you can see that this whole thing, it's transforming the education into the next level. Our teachers have done lots of hard work in developing this material, but this can be made available to so many other teachers who may not have time to do so much of research. So that is this teachers training center, socially very impactful initiative that would be there in the new premises. Then academics and school, as you know, so many things. I will be 10 years of experience, what all things are done. First batch is passed out from 10th, etc. And library is another such big thing will be there. For example, we already have 3,000 plus books of library, but we plan to have 10,000 plus books in the library, right from the 4 Vedas and Upanishad. This particular Panchakosh methodology is coming as a part of Taittiriya Upanishad, and also it is mentioned in Kathopanishad. So we have studied that part from there, how the students get graduated in the Gurukul, what is expected at the time of graduation. All these points are given in these Upanishads. Apart from that, there will be like this Bhaskaracharya and other scientists, their books will be made available in the library. Then there are modern thinkers like Dharampal, Indumati Kardare. They have written big books, 5 sets of books Indumati madam has written on the Bharatiya Shiksha Paddhati. So all these will be made available along with children books, environmentally making them aware, those kind of books. Of course, all books of Srila Prabhupada will be there part of library. And then there's a concept called e-library where the quality video debates, just like today's class of His Holiness Maharaj, that is giving right guidance on the what is the education should be. So such more digital resources will be part of this library, and there will be login password available to all the members from all over the world. They can access to the debates, documentaries, lectures. Recently we attended one very nice debate between J. Sai Deepak and the leftists. So such debates give different outlook of the world, which is rooted in the Vedic, at the same time not outdated. So all these things will be available to the students. Students do need movies, so rightfully selected movies, the neutral and conducive to Vedic culture. Such kind of movies will be available in that login, and such videos will be there. So that is the library part. And plus, this library is not only for the BMA students. This will be available to all the society. It will work just like British Library in Pune works. Any adult child who is not part of even ISKCON Pune can be member of this library with nominal fees. And they can access, they can come, the reading room will be there. On weekends, they can sit in the reading room and study these materials that we are having. So this is the library part. The publications part, I mentioned that, we plan to publish one book every year, which is very quite tall target. These are the 5 books on the left side you see, which are already available for the students, which we are using. Educational research, I mentioned that a couple of devotees from our group are taking it ahead. In the new premises, it will be properly done. What we have done already in the school is we have 10 years of experience. We know what works, what not works, or what does not work. Especially in pre-primary, the curriculum is mastered. Many of the modern schools start writing at the age of junior KG, but we do not introduce that, because as per the Vedic culture, writing starts after age of 5 onwards. So many such small details as per the Panchakosha is taken care of. So pre-primary curriculum is mastered. And I mentioned most of the other things. The first batch is passed out, and this alumni that will be passing out, we are not leaving them, but we'll be in touch with them. After 5-10 years, these alumni students will be in proper positions in different parts of the world. And then they will start contributing, because they have experienced what BMS has done to them, what is taught to them. And then they will be a very strong alumni, and another 10-15 years, it will be a different landscape altogether. So our upcoming plans is, building this particular infrastructure, which is built for learning. It's kind of Vidya Mandir. It's a temple of learning, where we will have good facilities for the sports, library, laboratories, Tinker Lab. And then we can make the timetable which is conducive to the students. Instead of starting at 8:30, we can start much earlier. We can go up till 7 o'clock. So all these timetables will not be dependent on the temple environment and schedules. Rather, it will be made custom made for the students. So that would be the benefit of the new premises for the school. Teachers Training Center, I already mentioned in detail how it can change the landscape of educational system. So that is what this petal concept is about. So this is where we want to go ahead, and we need support to build this infrastructure in next couple of years from all the well-wishers and all those who feels for the education. So that is why we have launched certain fund education schemes, fund collection schemes. The names for these schemes have come from this shloka of Bhagavatam, where Bhagavatam is the ultimate body of knowledge and is grateful towards Narayan, Saraswati, and Vasudev. So our scheme names are also coming from this particular slokas. But if somebody is ready to sponsor the classroom, that is Narayan scheme, 12.5 lakhs. There is Saraswati scheme, one who can sponsor 5 lakhs rupees. Vedavyasa scheme is sponsoring 1 lakh rupees. Vinayaka scheme is 50,000 rupees. So these are the 4 patron schemes, we call them. And there is a mass collection scheme. The 5th one is sponsoring 1 square foot at a time. That is called Vidya Seva scheme. One needs to sponsor 2,500 rupees per square foot. So these 4 patron schemes and the 5th mass collection schemes, this is what we are launching. Last couple of months, devotees are working to collect funds for this new premises. So this is where we need help, so that we can give back this petal structure to the society in return. Just to give explanation of one particular scheme, what happens in Narayan Patron scheme, then the Saraswati, Vedavyas. So as a token of appreciation, we want to give something return back to the patron members. So there will be name in the book of fame for those who are part of, say, Vinayaka Patron scheme. The library membership for free for 3 years. Then once in a year, there will be Patron Day celebrations, where you can come and will present, and students will present what all is done this year in the school. Physically, it is not just cultural program, but also the academic program. They will present from Lilavati Ganit, they will present from the exhibitions, science projects, the integrated project approach, then learning by doing methodology, various activities they have done. So that patron understands this is the biggest gift in return, because the cause for which I give my Lakshmi, say 50,000, how are they utilizing it in return by imparting the cultural based knowledge to the students. So this will be the most satisfying day for the donors to see that their money is utilized in right direction. And as a complimentary experience, devotees can come and stay in ISKCON NVCC for 1 night, 2 days. They'll be given free copies of printed and digital publications of the school, and they'll be invited to BMS special events like annual day, sports day, all throughout their life. So this is like, one sample example I gave about Vinayak Patron scheme. By donating 50,000 rupees, what all you stand to get in return as a token of appreciation. That's it. Similarly, it keeps on increasing in terms of 1 lakh. For 5 lakhs, it is little more contribution is there as a token of appreciation. And for a classroom sponsorship, your name is there on the classroom. So these are the 4 patron schemes. And the 5th one is Vidya Seva scheme, where you can sponsor the square foots like that. So what is our need? Okay, all these things are there. We are working on blending Vedic culture. There is a petal concept that is a future. And our need right now is we are targeting by Gaur Purnima, we need 1,000 families who can give 50,000 rupees or more. So just by getting 1,000 families, we have 2 months. If we get money, we'll give to society in return such wonderful project that will help spread this Vedic culture and bring many students and teachers towards Vedic culture. And essence of Vedic culture, as Maharaj said, is to know Lord Krishna. So it will be also a wonderful preaching opportunity in that sense. So we just need 1,000 families. In Pune community itself, we have thousands of families. All over the world, there are so many families who would appreciate Vedic culture. So please help us connect with such 1,000 families who can give us 50,000 rupees or more. And in return, we'll give this wonderful project to the society. So far, contributions made, there are already 7 patrons we have taken to Vedavasa scheme. There are 10 patrons we have taken to Vinayak scheme, and 23 we have donated in Vidya Seva scheme. So you can, of course, you can give now also, somebody can commit here. So this is what my last slide will be for the day, where we also have the systematic donation plan, SDP. So if you want to become patron of say 50,000, you can give it in 5 months also, in 5 installments. You just talk to our, you can just go to our website. There is a donate page, donate, and you can pledge there. Instead of donating, just say pledge. So your money is not cut immediately, but the information will come to us. You can also currently write in the chat box if you want to become the patron members. So similarly, in 10 months also, you can become a patron member by systematically donating it. So this is the systematic.
Hare Krishna, Tulsi Prabhu.
Yes, Vipul Prabhu.
Sorry to interrupt, Prabhuji. Just wanted to share that by inspiration of Maharaj and by your talk, I see in the group one devotee Mataji, Pooja Mataji, she has committed to be a BMS patron by donating 50,000 rupees.
Fantastic. Very nice.
So we would like to thank Pooja Mataji for her generous donation. Maybe I'm thinking, Tulsi Prabhu, we can take maybe a couple of minutes in case devotees are inspired to contribute towards BMS, or if they would like to commit towards BMS. Maybe can you open the donation page in the QR code in our website, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I'll take 1 minute. I will just show that whole thing to the donors again, how they can come forward. You can see my screen, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So here is this new website, and you can click here on the donate page, and there is a concept called donate or pledge. So here you can say donation or pledge. If you keep on pledge, actually it is just a pledge that comes. And further, if you go, then you can see this QR code appearing. Just like in a grocery shop, you just scan it and pay 2,000 rupees, 2,500 rupees. So any amount can be paid like that. You are able to see my screen too?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's visible.
Okay, great.
Yes, Prabhuji. So maybe, yeah, we can take a couple of minutes in case devotees are inspired to contribute towards BMS. So just to share that BMS is a no-profit organization. It is purely run by devotee community, and it is run by the devotee community voluntarily. So there is no outside or corporate support for BMS. It is run together voluntarily by all the devotees of ISKCON Pune. So if any one of you would like to contribute, you can even contribute right now by scanning the QR code. So the donation will come, and you can any amount you can contribute. In case you would like to commit right now and donate later, so that is also fine. You can just write your name and mobile number in the chat. So whichever platform you are in, whether you are in Zoom, whether you are in YouTube, or whether you are in Facebook Live, you can write your mobile number and name, and we will get back to you if in case we will get back to you regarding the donations, how we can do that. I would also like to mention that any donation which you will make towards BMS is tax exempt under section 80G. So you will get a 80G receipt, which you can even use for tax. You can use for tax deductions as well. So Are there any other devotees who would like to contribute, who would like to commit for this cause of BMS? Because the prayers and the blessings of devotees are paramount. If the devotee community supports, for sure this project can become a reality.
Yeah, I have to really thank Puja Mataji for coming forward while the presentation is going on. That time itself she
I
is
see,
donating.
Prabhuji, there is one more. I see one more. Varsha Mataji has committed to donate 50,000. Chitra R Mataji, Prabhuji, sorry, I don't know. They have interested to pledge. Sumangal Krishna Prabhu has committed to donate 50,000 in 1 month. So thank you so much, devotees. I mean, this is really so heartening to see the devotees coming forward to support the BMS project. As Tulsi Prabhu said, this BMS project will serve not only just the Pune community, but it will serve other all over India. I mean, we even are planning to have this distance learning program wherein wherein others can also contribute, wherein others can also get benefit from this. Okay. So Prabhuji, there is a very heart-touching message. There is Dhananjay, which is a student, Dhananjay Prabhu, who is a student, but he would like to give 100 rupees. So we would like to thank you so much, Dhananjay Prabhu, because even after being a student, you are contributing to this. This is very wonderful. And we are also open to accepting foreign currency. So if any devotee would like to contribute or pledge in terms of USD or any other currency, that is also perfectly fine. So you can donate or contribute in any currency which you want. So we have the systems, we have the arrangements for receiving donations in different currencies as well.
Yeah, this is so heartening to see people, Prabhu, because we just need 1,000 families who can donate 50,000 plus, and here already devotees committing so fast. I'm sure that
we got one more patron, Prabhuji. We got Nitin Pise Prabhu, who is also committed to become a BMS patron by contributing 50,000. Sangeeta Jetmalani Mataji has also committed to donate 50,000 within a month, BMS patron. So many BMS patrons we are getting.
Yeah, Varsha Da Mataji is Vedangini Mataji, Shagra's mother. She has written in the chat.
Right, yes.
It is really fantastic to know that with such support, we can definitely come and complete the Petal project very, very soon and offer it back to Srila Prabhupada and to the society to serve in this educational field.
Okay, so maybe just last 1 minute, if any other devotee would like to contribute or pledge. So after that 1 minute, we'll move to the question and answers. So BMS started 10 years back, and now it started with 10 students, and now it has grown to 180 students. And therefore, the need is there for have better facilities, our own campus. So for example, facilities like laboratories, physics lab, computer labs, and that is why BMS is expanding and trying to have its own campus. So that is why we are looking for this. We are looking for contribution. Okay, so we have Ravindra Ras Vilas Prabhu, who has also committed to become a BMS patron. One sincere request to all the devotees who are committing to become a patron, please put your mobile numbers also in the chat, name and mobile number, so that after this event, we can get in touch with you. So that, for example, Vishnu Valse Prabhu, thank you so much for your donation of 50,000. Request you to please kindly put your mobile number. Ras Vilas Prabhu, also I humbly request you to please put your mobile number. Thank you, Ras Vilas Prabhu. Purnima Mataji also. Okay, so you have already written your mobile number. Thank you so much. Vedangini Mataji, can you also just write your mobile number so that we can get in touch with you? Okay, so as of now, there is a question that up to what standard BMS is currently. So BMS is currently operating till class 10. Okay.
Okay, so should we move to the next devotees who would like to donate? They can definitely continue to write in the chat box. They can also write in the page of the website, because we get the information from the web page also. Okay.
And additionally, all interested devotees can definitely join our WhatsApp group. That would be the easiest way, and continue to share your pledge and your commitments there, which will also help us to get in touch with you and give you more details as per your requirements. Yes. I have already shared the chat link again, the WhatsApp link WhatsApp group link in the chat box. Kindly click on that and simply become a part of the group.
I'm sure many devotees would like to donate, if not now, later also, and they can contribute in PETAL concepts as well. If you are, having talents or skills related to publications or research, please contact us. We need a lot of support, because with everybody's together efforts, we can do something that is something wonderful. Okay. So now we move to the next part.
Okay. So thank you, Prabhuji, for walking us through what BMS is all about and giving us in detailed idea about how BMS is looking forward to stand on its own feet very soon, and the support that we are requesting from all the devotees here. Now, to take it forward, I request all the devotees to kindly come forward and ask your questions. I already see a hand raised from Medhwani Sakhi Mataji. Medhwani Sakhi Mataji, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes, Mataji, you are audible. Kindly ask your question.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my most respectful obeisances. Maharaj, thank you very much for the very enlightening session. How you spoke about character, culture, and competence for the overall development of the child. So, Maharaj, being a parent, my question is, I've had the fortune of actually sending my children to Gopal's Garden High School. My elder daughter is in the 10th standard now. So in terms of that, my query is, the children have been brought up in a very protected environment where they've got all that is necessary so that they can actually bloom into, very nice human beings who can contribute to society. But my anxiety and query now is, Maharaj, suddenly they are now going into the external world where there is cutthroat competition, where there, already there is discussion on NEET or JEE, and so much of discussions happening. So I would like to seek your guidance, Maharaj, as to, what is some few tips as to how we can prepare our children to adapt themselves to the external world, but at the same time be firm and strong in their principles of Krishna consciousness. So you can please guide us, Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandat pranams.
Well, I think Gopal's Garden School is doing a wonderful job with respect to not only giving the devotional Krishna conscious inputs, but also the academic part, and to blend it and balance it very nicely. And in the process, they're also preparing the children nicely to face the outside world. So I don't think it will really be such a problem. It will be a challenge for all children wherever they are. Facing the outside world is a problem not just for children, but even for adults. So don't worry about it. If you have given them a good sanskar from their childhood and they've got this good education, and they may get a little influenced, but eventually their sanskar will triumph and they will be protected by Krishna's mercy.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we see that we are nearing the closing time of this program. So would you want to take more questions?
I think it's almost 12:30. We can wind up now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, all the participants. And from the whole team of BMS, Maharaj, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for sharing out your time from such a hectic schedule. And we wish and pray for your good health, the Lordships, and beg that we have more of your divine association, Maharaj. I really thank you once again. And I also thank each and every participant here who has taken out time for joining this talk. And please feel free to reach us. We are again sharing the WhatsApp group link and all the other details that you need. And you can always reach us for all the other details. For your inquiry, we are here for that. So thank you once again. We bring this session to a halt here and we're signing off. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Tulsidas here. Really, it was a very wonderful association. Just take this. I am taking this opportunity to thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.